Hi Fantasy Managers, welcome to FPL Team Talk. In this video we're doing something different today. We're going to deep dive analysis, go head first into Leicester City. They are a team that we all are looking to target. They have lots of games between now and the end of the season, double game week fixtures, lots of green fixtures, but who do we target? In this video we're going to go through previous games, we're going to look historically at the stats in terms of who's played and when, especially when it comes to European games. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like. Thanks for everyone who's supported the channel so far. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Keep in touch with the latest wildcard free hit videos. Will guide you through the rest of the season. In the meantime, let's have a look at it. So here we go then, guys. Leicester City, why do we want to target them? I am going to give you a bit of a pre-warning here. This is going to be really heavily stats based, but I'm going to kind of round it up at the end. But there's a lot to digest in this. There's going to be a lot of numbers thrown at you. But like I said, at the conclusion at the end, I hopefully will bring it all together for you. But Leicester have some great fixtures. Looking at in game week 36, they're doubling against Everton and Norwich, both at home. That is probably, I'd say, about as good as you can get, given Everton's away record. Then they also follow that up with a great double in 37. Not as good, admittedly, both away. Watford, decent game. Who knows what Chelsea have got to play for at that point. They may already have that third place wrapped up with untouched, and then just perhaps building up to the FA Cup final. So it's still 4 games and 2 game weeks for Leicester. That looks good. Midlands derby against Villa and game week 34 at home. That looks quite appealing, and you don't mind targeting Southampton on the last day of the season either. So all of that put together, they've got a great fixtures. They've got a lot of fixtures. They look like a really good side to target at the moment. There's the fixtures. In between time, you've got the Tottenham away fixture. Again, that doesn't look that appealing, but do you know what? I think the rest of it carries itself. But which assets do you target? Who is going to get the most minutes? As we know, Maddison owners will have been burnt a little bit by that Newcastle game. He came on, got some minutes. Hopefully he starts against Everton. But with European games coming up, how many minutes is he going to get? Is he an asset that we want to get into? Is there anyone else that we can perhaps guarantee us some more minutes? That's what we're going to have a look at in this video. We'll have a look at the European games, who's played those, how it's affected minutes before and after those fixtures as well, because that's going to play a big part in Leicester's season. So that's how it spreads out over the rest of the season. But those Europa Conference League games against Roma at home and away will be sandwiched between a Villa and a Tottenham game, and then that game week double in 36. Feels like that those Roma games are going to be potentially the focus for Leicester for the rest of the season. And the players I'm going to target by looking at analysis will be Castagna, Maddison, Thomas. I thought I'd go for another defender, Harvey Barnes and Yuri Tielemans. There were a few other candidates. Do you know what? I just felt 5 was enough. I could have gone Pereira. I could have gone for Justin. I didn't want to touch any of the attackers. I just thought Daka and Nacho. It's just, well, I don't really, I think, need to look into it much to know that they're just heavily rotated. And I don't really want to go near them because I just don't know how many minutes they're going to get. So these were the guys that I focused on. We're going to have a look at minutes that they've done so far in terms of Europe, before and after. I've got a few caveats into which games they've played, and we'll have a look at all that and then try and wrap it up at the end. But in terms of what Leicester have got to play for, yes, they've got 3 games in hand on West Ham. If they win all of those, and that's a big ask, then they will move within 3 points of that 7th spot. I don't know if I'd say they've given up on that. So Wolves are still in the mix as well. It's a big ask. I mean, they're clearly not going to go down. They want to finish as high as they possibly can, clearly. But I think Europe is out of reach at the moment. The best route they have is of winning the Europa Conference League. Therefore, they'll get back into the Europa League next season. And it looks, I would have thought, as if Rodgers is going to target that for the rest of the season. So, there's been 12 games in Europe that Leicester have played so far. Not all of these players have been eligible or fit to play all the games. They've all had some sort of knocks or injuries at some point, missed games. So, out of all 12, none of them have been available for all 12. But what I would say is, 8 games Castagna has started. He's never come off the bench. So every time he's been available and played, he's just started. Maddison's had 7 starts, 3 on the bench as well. those substitute appearances, I would say, for Maddison have been always coming back from an injury, so he looks fairly favourable to playing those important European games. Thomas has played 8 games, none off the bench. Barnes, 9 games, he got 1 off the bench as well. And Tielemans, all 10 games that he has featured in, he has started straight from the off. Castagne's only been available for 8, but he's come straight in and started and played every one of them. Maddison, like I said, his substitute appearances were notably coming back from injury, getting fitness, but he's taken part in all 10 games that he has been available for. Thomas, he's been available for 11, only featured in 8 of them. The other 3 he's just been an unused sub. And again, Barnes was not used in one of the early European games. Tielemans has been for 11, but again, he was coming back from fitness as well. So he was building it up, so he didn't feature in one of the games. But otherwise, he's been pretty much solid all the way through. So what was interesting is that, right, before these European games, they'll play on a Thursday night. They'll probably get about 5 days if they play on a Saturday. So who has been playing in the game before? Has Rodgers been targeting any players in particular to give him a rest? Castagne's played 5, and he has come off the bench on 2 of them. Maddison, 8 games he started, 3 off the bench. Thomas, 7, 2 off the bench. Barnes, the same as Maddison, 8 and 3 off the bench. And Tielemans, 9 games he started, 1 off the bench. Castagne then, out of the 7 games that he could have played, he started 5 of them before. 11 for Maddison, so he started 8 of the 11 that he could have. For Thomas, only 7 of the 11. Again, Barnes, 8 of the 11, and then 9 out of 10 for Tielemans. So again, Tielemans playing a high percentage of games. What about afterwards then? They only get a rest of maybe 3 days. They play on a Thursday night. They will often play on a Sunday, so they get the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3-day turnaround. A lot less rest. Who has played that European fixture and then carried on playing on the Sunday? This is important in terms of that Tottenham game, and then maybe the start of the double where they're playing Everton at home after the Roma away leg. Castagne started 7, 2 on the bench. Maddison has suddenly started 8 out of those 12. Thomas, 6 of the 8. Barnes, 8 out of 11. And Tielemans, again, high percentage. So Castagne could have played 9. He started 7. Maddison, 12 games, but he's featured in all of them. Got Thomas playing 8, could have played 8, started 6 of them. And then Barnes, again, he features in every game. Out of the 11, he only started 8 of them. And again, Tielemans, coming back from fitness, only started 9 of the 10. Wow, that's impressive. Game day then. So, who is actually started in Europe? Who was most likely, who's Rodgers trusted to play in Europe? I think this is really important because this gives an indication of who actually is he going to prioritise in those European games. If he's not going to prioritise, let's say, a Barnes or Castagne in the European games, then he's possibly a better FPL asset for us. Castagne has played every game he's been available for. End of. If he's fit and available, he has played. Next, Tielemans, and I repeat what I said earlier on, he was coming back from fitness, but otherwise he has played every single game. Maddison, he has again been sort of come back from fitness 70%, but he's the least in the amount of games out of all of these. Thomas 75%, Barnes 82%. So from this, clearly we're looking at Castagne. He is trusted to play in Europe. He's obviously clearly the first choice, with Tielemans not far behind. Maddison, those figures are skewed again by the fact that he's coming back to fitness, but these are starting. And he did come off the bench in quite a few of them. Pre-match, who's been what percentage of the games? And again, Tielemans still playing 90%. Castagne's been rested a fair bit. Maddison's still roughly about the same. Thomas not playing many games beforehand. And it's interesting, he actually played in both games against PSV, which you would say were really important for Leicester. So it was an interesting caveat to that. Barnes, same as Maddison there, 73%. Post-match, we know Castagne's playing 100% and he's still playing 78% of the games afterwards. So we know he's going to be pretty much first choice in these European games. There's a reasonable chance that he'll play the game after. Tielemans still 90%. So even though he's playing European games, he's still playing before and after. That's quite interesting. When they're starting in Europe, so this statistic is when they start in Europe, how often are they starting the game before and the game after? So when they start in Europe, Castagne is playing 6 out of the 8 games. He's playing 2 as a sub. When they're playing in Europe, Maddison, he's starting 6 and then having 1 on the bench. Thomas, 6 out of 6. Thomas, 6 and 2. And Tielemans, again, such a high percentage. When they're afterwards, you see that there? Still, Castagne is playing pretty high percentage. And then Maddison, a lot less. So Maddison will play in Europe. He starts before 5 days rest. 3 days after, he is being rested a lot more than the other players. Is that due because of his sort of long-term injury issues? Don't know. Thomas, again, he's played less times in Europe than any other player, so he's a bit of a worry in terms of Europe, but he's playing 3 out of 4 games that he's started afterwards. And then Barnes, 7 games he started and 2 on the bench. Tielemans, massive again, 9-1. He is playing before, playing after, even when he plays in Europe. As a conclusion then, running through these, you would say Castagna looks a really good bet. He's pretty much playing every single game before the fixtures and 78% afterwards, and he looks like he's nailed in that European side, but that doesn't seem to affect how often he's playing. But then he is coming back from injury, and how many games will Rodgers give him with so many games coming back to back? But Tielemans seems like the one really just seems to play week in and week out. He looks pretty much nailed on. The only games he's missing is just through fitness and coming back from injury. What you'd say about the assets that I want to talk about are Maddison and Barnes. They seem to be the really attacking assets, but they are really a worry. I mean, as a conclusion, we can't tell from the past always what's going to happen in the future. But Maddison, for me, and I have at the moment, is a worry. I cannot see him on the basis of what we've seen so far happening, guarantee he's going to be playing a lot of minutes. And what also worries me from what we've seen is that he does take part in a lot of games. Almost every game he gets, he's involved in, but not always starting. So he's always coming off the bench, even when he's not involved. And I don't know if that's better or worse. It means if I'm starting him and he's not starting on it, he's coming on for a cameo appearance of 20 odd minutes, and the same with Barnes. Not sure I want that because it obviously stops my player coming off the bench. So it's difficult to know what to conclude from this, but I think Maddison Barnes, as we knew at the start, maybe what we already know, just confirms that they are a real minutes risk. Do I want to go down that route? Or is Tielemans and Castagna a much better bet? Guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. As we said at the start, there are a few others that we could have looked at. I just didn't have time to deep dive into these guys as well. There's a lot of stats. I didn't want to throw them all at you. Pereira, Dewsbury Horse, who's playing 90 minutes every week. Justin's another one to throw into the mix. I think they're good options, but they've been rotated so much. I just avoided looking at these guys for the time being. I felt the others were much better. And Pereira, obviously, with his good sort of heroics in that PSV game, possibly would be a candidate to play in Europe and would affect his minutes in the FPL. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Click on the like. Put any comments below. What do you think about those Leicester assets? Is there any one that you would go for? Do these numbers put you off, or does it just reconfirm what you thought already? Hope you have a great rest of game week 33. In the meantime, take care.